it's another episode of the Brett Allan Show. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Being a part of today's show. We have a special guest today. We are chatting with actor Muretta Moss. And I tell you, her body of work is massive, but you can see her recently in the Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus movie A Loud House Christmas, which we have seen at least a dozen times here in my household, if not more, over and over again. But a lot of other great work out there as well. Muretta, thanks for hanging out today. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, so you've seen the
I have
movie
a
a couple
7-year-old.
times.
Yes, we have seen it multiple times recently, and of course, when it came out, my kid is a fan of the cartoon, and then of course, we had some of the cast on last year for the live version, which was great. But it's a great show. I know it's been out for a while, but let's talk about that a little bit. The response has just been really great for this. How fun was it putting this project together and bringing such, a cartoon family to life, basically?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we did. There's this animated series that already exists, and we just stepped out of it in a way. I mean, I'm not the voice of the mom on the show, but I encompassed her in real life. So it was really fun. I mean, there was such a great fan base already, and people seem to like what happened, and I agree. Like those kids, I feel like they nailed it. I loved it so much. Getting to see them perform and transform, and it's a fun thing to already be a part of something that had such such good vibes already.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I'm trying to remember who we spoke to. One of the kids from the show, I can't remember.
Well, there's so many, so that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It escapes me at this point. But in any case, I mean, it was just a lot of fun, and we enjoyed watching it, and just great work on that. And of course, it's funny because we were talking about filming this. You filmed this in like Atlanta, right, during the summertime, so you had the fake snow and all of that in the scorching hot weather. But that's how most Christmas films are made, right? Usually, like in the summertime, and then we get them at Christmas, which is great. Again, fun show for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that is, I think, because if you want them to come out in November, December, you gotta film them earlier in the year. So, yeah, it was definitely hot in a snowsuit in the summer, spring, in Atlanta.
No, I understand. Well, again, great work on that. And of course, you've just been a part of a lot of other projects as well. But I understand that you recently wrapped a production on a dark comedy series called Intersection that you co-created, wrote, and starred in. Can you talk about that a little bit and let our viewers and listeners in on what they can expect, what you can share when we get an opportunity to see it?
Sure. Yeah. So it's hitting the festival circuit now. It's Intersection. It's a dark comedy, like you said, and it examines a neighborhood that is going through gentrification and explores the lives of the people in the neighborhood. And not necessarily a funny topic, but there's very amusing characters that go along with that. And I play a real estate agent that just is flipping houses, is like this shark of the neighborhood. And it was really fun. It took a long time because the first shoot schedule was, I guess, 2 years ago, almost to the T. And then this is when everything kind of shut down and we didn't know what we were doing. So we put a pause on it just for safety. And then it was a year later and we basically rewrote, and we're able to dive deeper into the characters and the just the show. I mean, I guess a blessing in disguise, if we want to call it that. And then but I was a writer, produced, and it was a lot of work, and I'm excited to see what happens with it because a lot of heart and soul went into that.
Yeah, I'm very curious, and I always find it interesting when I talk to actors who sort of do the commercial projects, but then they also do the other side of things where you're writing and creating, because I think to me, that's a testimony of the fact that really, like, if you want to create something, you can do it as long as you put your mind to it. Is that a fair assumption with that? I mean, obviously it's hard work and there are some connections involved, obviously, because you've done some other things, but really the heart and soul of it is just kind of taking that initiative to create.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so easy to create right now and make things and there's so many people that want to be a part of a project, especially that they believe in. It's not easy. It's never easy when
Sure.
you're not when you don't have money, and even like or even like a lot of money because some of like the productions that I've been on, they're like like they have a budget, but you always want more. It's a really
Yeah.
weird. You always need more. I guess everyone runs out of money, I guess, on a film set. That is what I have seen just from my limited time like doing the producing side, which is so challenging, coordinating people and locations and everything. But yeah, I mean, there was things that I in the beginning of quarantine, was very inspired and like still had the creativity thing going through me and I produced like or like wrote this little like short comedy short and I did it like by myself and like my friend like did some audio and I was like wow, but then it's not like festival or
Sure.
worthy, I guess, but it's like to put it on Instagram or wherever we put things. It's really fulfilling, and I think it's a habit that once you stop doing that, it almost feels harder to get back into. Like
Sure.
now, I'm like, can I write and produce and act in something? And I'm like, ooh, I'm a little tired right now, but I just need that little push because inertia is tricky. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, I think that's great.
yeah, there's so many stories to tell, and I think as like artists, you have it inside of you, and you want to get it out, and a lot of times you have to do it on your own, like not solely on your own. It does take a village to make something. If um, besides that comedy short that I made at the first start of quarantine, but yeah, you gotta get your team, and you gotta have a team that follows through.
Yeah, I was chatting with Siobhan Fallon Hogan, I don't know, a few months ago about this film that she created on her own called Rushed. And she called in a bunch of favors and said the same thing because she's been in like a lot of these massive studio pictures like Men in Black. And I
Mm.
don't know, the list goes on and on. And she's like, it's different when you're on a film set that just has endless amounts of cash that it seems, and you can kind of just do what you want when you want. But then when you're doing things on your own and you're raising the finances and really just putting it all together, it feels probably more satisfying on some level because you've really had your hand in it the entire way, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, of course, and then and to have that final product, it feels really great, and the team coming together, making it, like your scrappy little team, sometimes, like, you just feel so like a superhero by the end of it, definitely.
Yeah, well, I love it. I mean, again, just kind of looking at your body of work and all the things that you've done, you've had a lot of different experiences. Now, I understand that you do improv too in your local theater. That has to be fun to kind of just cut loose a
Yeah.
little bit and just do something sort of in the same world as what you do, but a little bit different, which is great.
Yeah, I love performing and I love connection, and I think improv is something that has been able to satisfy me in this way that like the little bit of like lazy actor, I don't want to memorize lines like
I love it.
constantly, like I'm already doing that. As a hobby, I just my mind can't take it. So, yeah, and like getting having people laugh is amazing. And so it's an outlet that I always hope that I do because it does serve me so much. And yeah, and I love the community. My best friends are improvisers, and I think that says a lot to the craft of improv. And also just good people are around it. Have you ever done any improv?
Oh yeah, tons of it in
Yeah.
college, several classes. and I've taken some classes here in the Sacramento area. It's interesting. It helps like doing this kind of thing. That's why I did it, was because I when I started doing podcasting, part of it is just being able to connect with people quickly if you can. Sometimes it's not always that easy. It depends on the situation, but I think if you can connect with somebody like that and just really be able to have a good, what seems like a natural conversation, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's been a while since I've done it. I was going to take another class, and then of course life
Yeah.
happened, the pandemic,
Hmm.
and it all got shut down. They tried doing it online, which was kind of weird to me. It's like, I mean, there was that whole conversation. People were doing stand up online, and improv online. The Who's Line guys were kind of doing it, and they wanted to do a class that way. And I just felt it was kind of weird, because part of it is being able to be, at least for me, in the same room with people, and have that connection in that way.
Yeah, I watched a couple improv shows, and it for me it didn't have the same. It was hard for me to get into it, but I can
Yeah.
see like where it's people who aren't familiar or
Yeah.
like to gain access into that. Like yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, the Zoom thing. I like that because then we're able to connect like this, but then I get a little, there's like something missing sometimes
Yeah.
when you're not in the room or in front of like a live audience.
Yeah, I think too, it's coming down to just having that creative outlet. You know what I'm saying? To fill that void, especially if you're not able to be on a film or television set, which as
Mhm.
creatives, you kind of have to keep those motors oiled, because otherwise, it, I don't know, especially if you're a very creative type, my brain is always moving and thinking of stuff to do. And sometimes it doesn't work. And it's like, why the heck did I do that? But then other times it's like, it's okay to take a risk, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I feel the most alive when I take risks, but like calculated risks,
Well,
But
yeah, of
like,
course.
yeah, I love doing new stuff, and I think that's why improv is so fun because every time you're up on stage, it is new, and but also, improv is for I. There's an audience, hopefully, but it's for me is it's mostly for me in a weird way of just as having that creative outlet. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I think all of it is just very fascinating. Um and I'm very curious, and I always like to ask this. There's the term actor, there's storyteller, what was it that interested you in acting? Like what was the bug that bit you that made you decide that you wanted to do this?
Yeah. Well, I was in college. I always say I'm a late bloomer. I wasn't just out of the womb and performing in the hospital room. But I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was struggling. Just in the beginning years of college, and there was like a decently budgeted film that came to my campus that I became a part of. As first it's just like a regular like campus person, and then like was a one of the featured extras and got to like work directly with the director and things, and so I just saw that film was a possibility and that people can do this, not just I never knew how to do it before. So
Sure.
I mean, I knew theater, but I didn't know like the film and TV like aspect of it. And it's so big. There's so many people that it takes to make something, and I love kind of the watching the logistics of it. And so that was where it started. And I think artist is or creative is a term. Like I am an actress, but like being a creative, it was one of the best things that I could have found because I realized that I needed that to become like a whole authentic person, which for me was a lot of like my college journey of like shedding
Sure.
like what I thought I was into who I am. And yeah, so having that production in college, I had to have something tangible to see that it was possible. And then I took acting classes, got an agent, and just climbing the ladder, slowly but surely from there.
Yeah, I know that's always an overnight success that's taken years to get
Yeah.
where you're at. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people don't know. And one of the things that I've learned just throughout my journey doing this is that, what we see on television or on film or whatever the case might be, comedy, there's a long process that's involved in getting to where you're at, because when you have what some would define as success, you have to think about all the hard work and all the no's and everything else that sort of predicated that and got you to where you are. What's some of the best advice that you've ever gotten in this business, or really just in life, as we wrap here, to kind of motivate you through this trajectory?
Um, there's so much advice out there that I'm always like, don't take anyone's advice. That's my first piece of advice. But I think
Yeah,
like in my first acting class, when I was like doing this professionally, they say like your greatest gift is you. Like you are what makes any role special. It is
sure.
you. So just stop hiding and being what you think you're supposed to be. And I say that, and sometimes I just forget, because there
Mhm.
are like, you're trying to fit into a mold. Sometimes I don't even know what acting is. Is it me like transforming into the character, or is it bringing my full self to the character? What do you like? What is it? So I sometimes go back and forth of being like, what am I doing? But I think just like tearing away the layers of the onion and just being yourself. That was the one piece of advice that I keep going back to. Like, you are your greatest gift, in like a very self-full, not selfish or, arrogant way. And also, like, as an actor, sometimes you have to get over like a lot of things of like people thinking you're arrogant or something. Like,
Sure.
you just have to like own yourself, and I hope everyone does. But that's another thing that's been really helpful, of just like being kind of unapologetically who I
You.
am. So yeah, so that I can
I
like.
mean, confidence is one thing, and oftentimes I think it's mistaken for arrogance, but that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've talked to a lot of people doing this, and there's a lot of personas and perceptions that people have. And like, you find yourself getting into these conversations and being pleasantly surprised, if that makes any sense, going, huh, I didn't expect it to go that way, based on what
Hmm,
people might think. Um,
yeah.
but it makes what you do that much more mysterious, because sometimes we don't want to know how the sausage is made, and we kind of find ourselves surprised a little bit, but really, like, you make it look natural, I guess, is my point. So my hat's off to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I still love like the movie magic of it all. I mean, when I found out, like, when Friends was a New York show filmed in LA, like that's like my first like pulling the curtain away. And I still get kind of stumped sometimes when I'm like, wait, that wasn't
Oh
real.
yeah, I find
I
myself that
love
way.
that.
Yeah, when I was, watching this show last night, actually, super pumped, on Showtime, and it takes place in the Silicon Valley, but it's like filmed in Los Angeles, but they make it look like San Francisco, or pick a Marvel movie, whatever. It doesn't,
Yeah.
they just do such a good job of it. Dexter was the one for me that kind of surprised me, because I was like, this was like filmed, I've been to some of these places before, and they make it look so real. This is a lot of fun. I mean, just everybody, please, if you haven't seen A Loud House Christmas, Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus, it's streaming right now. You can watch it. I'm sure we'll probably watch it again here soon. And also be on the lookout for this brand new project as well, that will be coming out soon, Intersection, and all the other great work. And Morgan McGill, it just came to me. That's who we
Oh,
had Morgan on right when the show, just before the show came out.
oh,
So
how fun. That's
yeah.
great.
But anyway, yeah, she was great. And we had a couple others on too. The little twins
Oh,
were on
love
as well.
those. Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh no. Yes, love them. The twins, the Allen twins.
Yes.
You know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Muretta, for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a joy.